Welcome to Toffee Tuesday, the first of the summer off-season. I'm joined, as ever, by Dave and Rodger. Lads, the Toffees have made the first signing of the summer, which I don't know about you guys, but I thought they might mess this one up early doors. But they got it done on the day that I think the clause expired. So obviously, Charlie Alcaraz is David Moyes' first signing of his second spell, first permanent signing. Rog, what are your thoughts on that? Bit of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm glad that they got the deal done and didn't drop the ball. Don't quite understand the 2-year length of contract. I heard Matt and Paddy talking about it. Not so much for PSR because that's far too clever, Dickie, but you'd have thought if we're going to develop him, is he 22, 21, 22?
22, yeah.
Then I'd have thought a 3 or 4 year deal, give him some time to settle in, and then maybe, bin him off to City for 150 million in 18 months' time. But he doesn't have long with a 2-year deal to get there. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential, and a full summer and a full pre-season. Get the best out of him next year. An exciting signing.
Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it, Dave? To get obviously we usually waste the whole of August sort of fannying around, sort of saying, "Oh, we'll go with what we got," and then we sign someone on the last day. Hopefully, this is a little bit of a sign of intent. I know we were pushed into it because that deadline was there, and we had to meet that because other clubs were interested. But good to get him in and get a full summer with the squad. He's had half a season to bed in. He should be flying next season, shouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've seen progression from him since he's been there since day one. The concern I had was that Moyes seemed to not play him or start him that much. So I started thinking maybe he's not for him. There's several times we've spoke on here. I don't think he wants him to stay. But I don't know whether this is a typical Moyes-esque thing that we've forgotten about. But he's done that before, hasn't he, with players? And you look at the first 11 that he picks for some games, you think, what's he doing there? And having a certain player on the bench you think should be in the first 11. Keeping him, 2 years, like Rodger says there, that's really surprised me. Because I think there's a naivety to that. Now, for whatever reason, we don't know, but I think there's a naivety in signing a player there that looks like he's an immense talent, and he only got him for 2 years. Say after next season, obviously he's only got one left, and a team comes in to buy him, which is perfectly reasonable to suggest, isn't it? Given how talented he looks. How much can Everton get for him then? I hate the fact we're saying that, less than 5 minutes into the show, but these such things are important, aren't they? We're talking a lot. We've spoken a lot about Branthwaite and getting his contract sorted out. So if he is leaving, we do get the big sum that sadly we'd have to get in order to justify him leaving the club. But with someone like Alcaraz there, I mean, look, it can go both ways, can't he? He's a bit of a maverick, isn't he? He's a little bit, he's quite a lot very different to a lot of the other players we've got. Who knows, could end up having an absolute stinker. So I guess the club would, from their point of view, behind closed doors, would say, yeah, let's sort of ease back a little bit here. Particularly that would fall in line with what I've spoken about there with Moyes not starting him every game. I sort of think, okay, 2 years then maybe makes a little bit more sense. But I'm with Rodger. I think you're looking at a minimum. 22 years old.
Yeah.
Talented South American player. Everton in a position now where they have to save, cut the cloth accordingly. I'm not so sure. We always speculate on what level of money is available. But I certainly wouldn't think that was at the top of the list. I think we need to save a few quid by only giving someone a 2-year contract who looks really top potential.
As Rodger alluded to there as well, it doesn't really help for PSR reasons because obviously you stretch it out over a further period. That's what helps with PSR, but that's where we are. He's on a 2-year deal. Thing that worries me, he's not the sort of lad to stick around. He's had 5 clubs and he's 22. So who knows? Anyway, good signing. We're all happy about that. But for this show, we're going to do a little award show sort of to round off the 24-25 season, which ended pretty well for the Toffees. Went on a great run since Moyes came in. So we're going to look at some of the best bits. So these are the terribly titled, the goodies, which I've called them. Everton Awards 24-25. First category, best goal. Handily, Everton just put up yesterday, I think, every goal we've scored this season on YouTube. So that was a nice little retrospective. Dave, what's yours?
So I'm trying to stick away from the obvious because we know what the obvious is. I don't even need to explain it, really, do I? I don't want to insult people's intelligence by knowing what we'd all pick or what we'd all, seen. I've gone for Beto's goal away at Crystal Palace. And the reason being is I love a goal in football that comes against the blue, no pun intended, but also a counter-attacking goal, because for many, many years we haven't had the pace to counter-attack sides. You look at the days under Dice there, will defend and hoof the ball forward, and you hope for a 1 in a million winner or equaliser, as it were. But the way in which we played against Crystal Palace, it was composed performance. But then you look at that goal we scored as well, Alcaraz involved, of course. But the finish from Beto, who, if there was a category, he'd be my most underrated player of the year, was when the finish itself looks relatively simple. But when you watch the replay of it and look a little bit closer, he actually dinks it over the keeper's legs. And it was really, really clever. It's similar to all the goals he scored, that finish he has, where he just telegraphs the goalkeeper all the time. It was similar to that, but he needed to put a little bit of height on it because the keeper comes running at his feet. Brilliant run from Alcaraz, great ball through to him. And I think the context of it as well was that lad started to really perform for us. And, as much as we'll laugh and joke about his first touch and all that sort of thing, you think of the crucial goals that he scored. I thought that was the best one. It was important because we went and won that 2-1, didn't we? But yeah, that goal for me, Everton on the counter-attack, there aren't many goals that I like more than a counter-attacking goal that Everton have looked like they've got some pace. It gives you some hope, because let's be honest, how long have we been a side that you look at and think we've got some really blistering pace there? We're not that club, we're not that side for a long time.
Yeah, I think that was the result that sort of settled our nerves as well, wasn't it? Once we'd won that, it was like, yeah, we're going to be all right there. And like you say, that finish, can't be underestimated how tough that was. The keeper comes out really quick. The defender's on him, and he gets it through a tiny gap between the two.
Yeah,
and gets just enough lift on it. Yeah, it was a belter goal. Yeah, good choice. Rog?
Yeah, good choice. Made my shortlist, definitely. But I've gone for a predictable match, but not but a less predictable goal. I've taken Beto's opener in the derby. Because you've got to love a goal against the Red Shite, and you've got to love a goal that puts you in the lead against the Red Shite. And it's a lovely ball from Branthwaite, and he takes it first time. It's a Beto goal. He puts it. Keeper no chance. Allison was in goal, not Kelleher. It was Allison, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a great finish, and yeah, that's my favorite goal. It's a high quality goal, but also it's a goal against Liverpool, and it's not the obvious one. So yeah, Beto, look at him. He's scooping the awards. He's going to be going home with gongs galore.
It does go under the radar, that one, doesn't it? Because the Tarkovsky one overshadows it. But like you say, that ball from Branthwaite and the finish, it was like Dave said, we're not blessed with pace. So there's not many players who get us up off our seats. We're also not blessed with good finishes, really. And there's not many players you'll say when he's through, he's going to score. But I think for the most part, apart from, there was one game away, wasn't it, where he just couldn't score. Brentford away. Apart from that game, you kind of put your house on him scoring when he's through. So yeah, that is a belter that's gone under the radar. My one is, it was in Dice's sort of final 4-game run of 4 draws, and everyone was sort of like, oh, here we go. They were good draws. It was in Divey Man City. It's where Decore picks it up on the corner of the box. I think Man City gone ahead, hadn't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's one of those where you think, all right, we're down at Man City, even though they were patchy. You thought, we're not coming back into this. But the ball from Decore is really good, but it's the touch and the instant finish from Ndiaye just sort of smashes it into the top corner. That was there for me. I think that was my pick of the goals. Also a shout for Keane's left foot blammo against Ipswich away.
Yes.
That was some goal as well.
I liked Ndiaye's against Southampton, talking about Ndiaye goals where he properly whacks it in as well. Beat the man, quick feet. He's got such quick feet, and get him in and around the area, he can be a real threat. That was a lovely goal in the last game at Goodison. A good way for the old lady to be signed off that goal.
Yeah. It was Spurs for me when he runs through against Spurs and absolutely webs it into the top of the net there with his left foot. I think it was stunning goal.
Beto's header. Was it Ipswich? Beto's header against Ipswich.
Yes,
that's a lovely little header. Places that very nicely.
Yeah. All
Goal
good.
machine.
Are we gonna? I haven't decided the format here. Are we gonna pick a winner out of these three, or are we just gonna go?
Should we just go through all 44 goals we scored? Was it?
We should, yeah, just to make sure
No, let's just. We're not going to. How are we going to pick a winner?
We're not going to go present them, are we?
No.
Right. So all the talk of Endai leads us nicely onto next category: best player, 24-25. Rodger, come to you first.
Well, there are other contenders, but it's. I mean, there's only one. It's got to be Jordan Pickford, hasn't it? I mean, he's the best player. He's the best player we've got. He's been the best player for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. He's consistent. He keeps us in games. Probably worth 8 points a season. You know,
Easy.
Games that we've drawn, that we might have lost, or games that we've won that we might have drawn. He's the best. He's the best player we've got. Of course, Garner's had a great season. Branthwaite's been impressive too, and Dye's come in and made a difference. And Beto is most improved category. But for me, sorry if it's a bit boring, it's Jordan Pickford. He's our best player.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to agree with you there, Rog. I think after a bit of a ropey start, which Paddy and Matt touched on yesterday on the byline, sort of coming back from international duty with a bit of a hangover from that, he was a bit ropey at the start. It's probably his worst spell he's had in a while. But he sort of came back into it, and he sort of makes he makes good saves, seem routine. I think that's probably the best thing you can say about him, isn't it? You're not surprised when he makes an outstanding save, and it's one of those things where I don't know, for whatever reason, he's not everyone's cup of tea, and he gets a bit of stick. But he's one of those where God, you'll miss him when he's gone, because those saves are not easy saves that he makes, but he makes it look easy. Obviously coming into his peak now, and I know you mentioned this, Rog, in the past. Just hope we can keep hold of him, because it's not even a conversation, is it, that he's going to go anywhere? But I would be absolutely. I'm too old to love footballers, but I genuinely love Pickford. I just think he's just brilliant, just everything about him. And yeah, he's just been outstanding for us. So yeah, I'll go with him as well. Dave, anyone different?
Yeah, I've got someone different, but just what you both mentioning Pickford there, I love that he pisses the opposition off so much. Not because of what he does with his actions, and clearly Newcastle as well. He takes the piss out of Newcastle fans and whatnot. But with him, he, to me, anytime you say that he's good on social media and you've got other fans of another club, they'll start fuming that you said he's good. I think I love that the arguments about England, he should never be in England's number one, with the Ramsdale thing as well. For years, it seemed that Ramsdale was, you got to pick Ramsdale. I don't know whether it was a Southern thing when the lad was at Arsenal or whatever, but he's nowhere near. Couldn't get near Jordan Pickford in a million years, and how good of a goalkeeper he was. But anyway,
Dave, I'm not exaggerating. He's the best English goalkeeper in my lifetime. I mean, people think that's like overstating it, but he's been better than anyone I've ever seen.
You just pretending you're 21.
Yeah. No, but I mean, people talk about David Seaman. He was a good keeper. I genuinely don't think he's as good as Pickford. Certainly not for England.
I think that argument's that debate over that's so difficult given the context of the players that are in and around him. When they went and should have won the Euros, when they should have done better in a World Cup.
Yeah,
a lot of it is to do with him getting any level of progression, because he'd always have to do something wild. I mean, the thing that burst him onto the scene internationally was that save against Colombia.
Do you remember the fallout around that? Because he scored off the corner, people saying he should have left it. It was going wide anyway.
Oh yeah, that or caught it. Yeah. I mean, that was unbelievable. That save was ridiculous.
It was outrageous.
And he started doing it. Given, I mean, look, when you start talking about how good goalkeepers are, I think the first thing that comes to mind with me is there's a general asterisk next to the name, because I think, well, how crap are the side when he's got to be amazing to get you out of jail? But that's exactly what he's done. We've been in that much trouble in recent years that if he wasn't there, Everton wouldn't be a Premier League side. I'm pretty certain that's a fair comment to come out with there. But going back there to who I picked, it's what the club did with the Jessica guy, and bit of a Benjamin Button, isn't he? I really like watching him, because he's a tiny little fella, but he makes himself seem like he's 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall, because he's just immensely strong. He's quick. Positional wise is incredible. Where you find him in so many situations where you think, why is he in that position? I think he has a little bit of freedom to roam about now. I think, we've seen him in attacking areas. I can't stand it when he shoots because he's useful at shooting a ball. But everything else, every part of his game in his mid-30s, he's getting better and better. It seems we're getting to get more modern these days with fitness and the physio-wise and all that sort of technology stuff, that you're going to get players being a little bit older and still as good as they've been, but he hasn't been better for us. He's been a top-class player for us for so long. Shift to PSG, won a couple of things and came back. I just hope he's staying, because his social was saying something to me that I wasn't too happy with personally about him not potentially staying. It was very, I don't know about you guys, but it sort of pushed towards a more of a goodbye than it was I'm still here. But yeah, he's just been fantastic for us. If he's not in that side, David Moyes and everybody else has got some level of work to sort that out. Whoever's in there, maybe James Garner's next to him, as we've seen, worked out reasonably well. But I don't think you're going to be able to replace someone. The amount of money you'd have to pay to get the Jesse Garner that we've got now, I don't think Everton could put that much out, because he's that important to us in midfield. So he gets it for me.
It will be a disaster if he doesn't sign, because, as you say, he's going to be so hard to replace. Would you say that's his best season he's ever had for us? I think it probably is.
Yeah, I don't think I can recall. Again, we're talking about players here that we're so reliable of. He's definitely been that for me in the midfield. That said, I think he's played every minute of every game, so you wouldn't really know if anybody who comes in would be worse than him. But that does him a disservice. Yeah, he's been brilliant. There are only a few moments I can think of where you're thinking, what have you done there with a stupid tackle? Because he throws himself into everything, but I'd say 90% of the time he wins the ball and he turns Everton around. And when the opposition's coming back at us, he always seems to be that kind of player that's there and breaks things up. So I mean, if it's no longer just a Ghana Gay in Everton's midfield, then we've got a big hole to fill.
Yeah.
Definitely. A shout out to Steve Walsh. He signed both those players.
Oh, Rodger, this was meant to be fun.
Idrissa. Nobody had heard of Idrissa. He played for Villa.
Where it's due.
Villa went down, and Steve Walsh signed him. And Steve Walsh got Jordan Pickford. There you go.
Forgot he was at Villa.
Yeah.
I cannot believe he was there.
Yeah. Steve Walsh, what a guy. Other end of the scale then. Best young player, probably not too many candidates for this one, to be honest. I think this could be a clean sweep for one player, but Dave, will come to you first.
Yeah, I've changed mine, and I think with a reasonable effort at saying why, and it's Jake O'Brien for me. Probably played too fewer games to actually be somebody who'll be many other people's choice, but I think he's come in, and I do like a right back who's a big fella. Because I think that's a rarity in the game. I've mentioned a million times about the relation that I see to him with him and Lescott when he first came to us. Lescott was just like a train, and this fella's the same. He's quick, he's big, and he can provide something that you don't necessarily look at and think he's going to. I don't know whether because he just looks unorthodox when you're a big player who can actually cross a ball, or you've got a decent touch on you. And we've seen that plenty of times from him. I think he's been great. And I think, under the circumstances where he was put out on loan, he came back in. There's obviously people make that, comparison to Branthwaite, even looking like him a little bit. People will make that association with him. But for him to come and do that, given the circumstances we've been in, just quite quietly and simply got into the side, done really good performances. I can't remember the time when I said it was his fault for a couple of things. So yeah, I'm going for him ahead of what you two, I presume, are going to say.
Okay. I'm going to say no one. I don't think we've got one. Sorry.
Well, what age? We didn't discuss this. What age? What's the age?
Rodger right there. Go ahead.
Who? I mean, what? Harrison Armstrong. I'm not going to push my great nephew.
Rodger.
Just for the sake. Who have I forgotten?
Rodger's been desperate to say, I'm not picking one because the academy is a load of shite.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not. Don't worry. We've got Anthony Gordon and we got some money for him. And we got money for Tom Cannon and various other people.
And Ellis Sims.
Yeah. Ellis Sims, big Ellis.
So,
yeah.
Is Harrison Armstrong your great nephew?
Get off! Of course he's not. Just like Neil
No,
Armstrong.
because I only asked because he is related to Jamie Sweetman, who listened to the show and came over to the derby when it got postponed. So he is related to him. I thought there may have been some nice sort of symmetry going on there, but I do know someone who is related to him.
It doesn't go quite that far. It doesn't. Well, there's no connection between my branch and his branch that I'm aware of. I'm happy to claim him if he becomes good. That's fine.
I thought you were going to say I'm glad he's not, because he's not good enough.
I'd forgotten Jake O'Brien, to be fair, because I thought, because he's a giant, he's not young. Because he's the size of a house. I don't know, who's yours? I don't have a contender here at all.
Mine's Jake O'Brien as well.
Okay,
really?
There you go.
Yeah.
Simple. But there isn't another one.
That's why I said.
You have to include Branthwaite. You have to include him, because I think he's just about. I think you'd have to be under 24 as the category, if I'm wrong.
He's on the cusp of it. Why? Who else were you thinking, Dave?
It was
Alcaraz.
him.
Alcaraz is 22.
Alcaraz, of course, but he didn't play enough games for me. But the reason with Branthwaite was, I thought because he's everybody's darling, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think the bar he's got and everything that's in and around him, thinking, oh well, he's gonna leave, so we need to sort of treasure what we've got for a while with the sentimental side of stuff and the amount of money we'll get from him. I was thinking he's going to be quite easy to choose there. It wasn't his best season. I don't think it was his best season. The previous one, he was immense.
Yeah.
But I also think with him that because he's potentially going to go, he's been somebody else who's been, he's been integral to how we play. He's been integral to us staying up effectively. So we're starting to, the common theme we're getting to here, the underlying sort of narrative we're talking about here is players that have saved us rather than being players that have been absolutely fantastic, apart from Alcaraz.
I think on Branthwaite, I think he had a ropey start to the season as well, didn't he? He didn't look comfortable when he first came in, possibly missing Tarkowski, who was out or injured when he was playing. So he didn't have the best start, but again, he finished the season strong, didn't he? Jake O'Brien didn't really have any starts because he just wasn't getting played. So I think for him to come in, like under Moyes, and play a fullback when, as far as I know, he's never played there before. He's a centre-back. To come in and make that position his own and really solve a problem for us. Because you've seen when he's gone into the centre mid, there's no options at right back apart from Ashley Young, because Patterson ain't getting played. Coleman can't play. So he's come in and solved a massive problem, not just for this season, potentially next season. Because I'd be inclined to not worry about the right back spot next season so much and try and focus on other areas of the team first and play him there. Obviously, unless Branthwaite goes, then that sort of throws everything up in the air. But I think he's a player who you can rely on at right back next season as well. And he's got a goal in him as well. He scored a couple. He scored the late equaliser against West Ham, I think, and the late equaliser against Brentford, which was a belter of a goal as well. Diving header. So I think he's been great since he came in. It's just a shame, or maybe not. Maybe it's not a shame that he didn't play under Dyche, because he may have saved his job. You never know, do you? It may have been a different story if he just played him. But Dave, sorry, what do you want to say?
I was just going to say what excites me, in inverted commas, would be him next to Branthwaite at centre back, because I haven't been aside from the obvious again with Tarkowski, I haven't been his biggest fan at all for the majority of this season. I think he's on the downward trajectory in his career that's left in the sunset. I think he needs replacing. Like further down the list than other chats we've had about what players are at the top of who we need to get in. But if it happens, probably odds on it doesn't. But Branthwaite and O'Brien at a centre back pair, and that's something that I look at and think, you know what, we are a solid unit anyway. We take a lot of pride these days in how good we are defensively, and the facts that the statistics that Rodger's mentioned in the previous show about how it's incredible how we've got better. The amount of goals we can see, there's been less than sides that have finished in the Champions League. Manchester City, there's only 2 or 3 sides that have conceded less than us. And towards the back end of the season, it was those two when Tarkowski got injured. It was those two at centre back. So I'd love to. I mean, you imagine the value. I know we're talking about Branthwaite and how much we potentially get from him. If Jake O'Brien's next to him, and all intents and purposes, to me, seem like he's around that level or heading towards that level. Certainly not as good as him yet, but we're talking about 2 young centre backs there. That's something that maybe something that you wouldn't necessarily look at and turn to and think, wow, they're 2 real future stalwarts for Everton. It's not something you look at as 2 centre backs. He hasn't played that much at centre back, O'Brien, but that could be great for us. I really think that's there. And if we were starting the new season with those 2 at centre back, I'd be absolutely thrilled with that.
I'll be sound with that. Yeah, I think Tarkowski's taken a little bit too much stick. I don't think he's been.
Oh yeah, I get slated for him because
he had his moments and he did my head in. But I think we showed that we're probably better with him in the side than out. I would argue. I think just to finish the point on the goals like we've conceded and like how strong the defense is. That's all the more remarkable when you consider. I think we conceded 16 in the first 5 games or something, didn't we? We were shipping goals left, right, and centre. Like we conceded 3 a game. So I think to switch that round and finish like the 4th best defence in the league, joint with Man City, that is incredible. And Jake O'Brien played a big part in that. I think coming in at right back. Yeah. On to best team performance, Rodger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. None of them were Sean Dyche games, obviously. I think for me, the most complete performance and the most surprising result probably was the win away at Forest. It was an exceptional defensive display, and Forest at that time were still flying. I think we may have sort of started we started the end of Forest's run into the Champions League. It was mid-April, I think, around Easter time. Doucouré's winner, 90+4. Lovely. Talk about breakaway goals, Dave. That was the best breakaway goal. The wonderful ball from Dwight McNeil, who'd just come back into the squad and come off the bench, and the ball he plays through, and the finish that obviously he not only sends the keeper the wrong way, he sends himself the wrong way. Doucouré with that wonderful finish, and the away end behind it, because you get the full goal behind at the City ground. I thought it was a wonderful performance, and that was, we were really looking up then, because Forest were a good team, and not only were we not in any threat of relegation, we'd gone and played proper football, defended well, and nicked one at the end. And you can't beat a last-minute away winner. My favourite was Lukaku's at the Bowl-In ground at Upton Park back in the day, which was majestic. He headed it in at the far post in front of us all, and that was great. I wish I could have been at the City ground earlier this year for a similar experience. So that's my winner. Good shout. And like you say, just that goal and celebration at the way end, just incredible. Yeah, mental.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it does get me thinking those rare last-minute away goals, or one where you've took the piss out of a side that you think you're going to lose to. That one against Brighton.
The Dwight McNeil last one, where he sort of stumbles up the pitch and whacks it into the top corner for 5. Brilliant.
The best thing about that is when you see the Brighton fans in the background and they're absolutely going ballistic, even though they were already 4-0 down and lost. the odd little patches of them that stayed absolutely seething.
Isn't that old woman giving him the finger, isn't it?
It's what?
Isn't that old woman giving him the finger?
Oh yeah, there's old men, there's like the Conservative parties there. It's just absolutely brilliant. He's just, I don't know what, it wasn't even like a celebration where he's doing the shush or anything like that. He's just like runs to the corner. Yeah. And you've got all these people absolutely seething with him, scoring that goal for some reason when they already lost 4-0. I probably should have left. I admired them for staying, to be honest. But I've gone for, again, a different one. And the end result probably maybe doesn't justify why I've chosen this, but I think it was because of the last few minutes that was sort of, oh no, what are we going to do here? We've seen this far too often. It was a game at home to Spurs where we won. I'd like to keep in mind that we won 3-0, but it wasn't. It was 3-2, and we nearly conceded the usual capitulation towards the end of the game. But the reason being for this was it was a real sort of stamp from Moyes coming back. It was a real, I know we can slate Spurs and we'd like to sit here and maybe spend the whole show of ripping Spurs apart who went on to win the European trophy, but that's the way it is these days, isn't it, with how many teams are getting in a European place. But with that, I think Ndiaye scored that fantastic goal. the one mention for him, and it won't be a popular opinion, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored a fantastic goal in that game. Absolutely brilliant goal. Which, you know, it just nobody expected that, to be honest, because I think that was when it was starting to get the peak of, Calvert-Lewin shouldn't be really staying here because he's not trying and all that, and all the stuff that we're seeing going on now on social with his missus and all that sort of thing, which has gone quite bizarre. So I'm going for that one at home to Spurs. Spurs are being shite, but they've got some immensely talented players. They've
22
got some
games. They lost 22 games.
I mean, it's incredible. And that, do you know what, Rodger? You saying that kills my thunder of saying that this.
Beating Spurs was easy. Everyone beat Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. You had at least like maybe 15 sides who went and beat them, but given
Southampton beat them. They lost at home to Leicester.
All right.
They lost at home to Ipswich, I think. No, I don't think Southampton did beat them, to be fair. Southampton beat us.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I was going to refer to that, and then we started going into some bizarre way of talking on here. But that one, I think, was an important one when we got Moyes back as well. There was that run of form on a bit of started to get a bit of momentum going with them, and the goals in them we scored were great.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of it was a relentless first half, that wasn't it? From Everton, which you don't see too often. I'm going to go with Rodger and go with an away game. I thought Palace, like you said, that was a really good away performance. I think Fulham away, as well. And on both times beating those teams, they were like looking up the table, pushing for Europe. Palace were in a great run of form, and we beat them. Fulham the same. But I'm going to go bit of recency bias with Newcastle.
You're going to say that.
I think as a team display, that was just such a complete away performance. You know, given the fact that Newcastle really did need to win that game, they got lucky because Villa fucked it. But I just think to go there and put in that level of performance and that level of discipline, from the keeper right through to the striker, I just think it was a brilliant display. And we're going on to what you're looking forward to most next season soon, but that got me really excited for the possibilities for this team next season. Not to get ahead of myself because we'll finish 8th, and that's what I'm looking forward to most. Little spoiler there. I just think to go there and put in that level of performance against a team that has had a fantastic season, was just brilliant. And I just loved that game so much. And like you said, Rodger, the West Ham away end, and the Forest one, I think that away end, although it's up in the gods, I think that would have been something special there.
That says so much about Pickford, though. I was going to say that earlier, that he had a poor start to the season, as you rightly say, but he kept on going and and he wasn't out on the lash, or he might have been after Sunderland had got, promoted the night before, and he goes up to St James's and puts in a performance like that, his final game. He's still got some games to play for England, but that says everything about him. He's just his standards are so high and he's so reliable. And when he gets that emotional involvement, never more so than against Newcastle. It's absolutely wonderful.
Well, I think Matt mentioned on another show, his best games now are against Newcastle and Liverpool, basically. Whereas in the past, he would have he lost his head a bit in those games. But I think genuinely, and I mean, I can't speak too highly of him, but I do think he's just a genuine world-class player. And it's like if you have that level, a player who can pull that level of performance in every position on the pitch, that's when you're a good team. But I think he is the one world-class player that we've got, and it shows for me.
Yeah, decent golfer as well, Dave. You need to get him out for a round and do a little bit of a YouTube thing. You and Pickford on the course, yeah.
So, no, that's the one thing that I've got an issue with him for, because that is the most appalling edited video I've ever seen. That is not a hole in one. There is no way that's a hole in one. Because bless him. I mean, he does it, but if you're it's EA Sports, isn't it? It's for the game, isn't it? For PlayStation or whatever it is for the golf game.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah. It was. It was. You were doing a promotional thing with it, and we got emailed it. The Blue Room got emailed it saying, "Can you put this on your social?" And I watched it and I was like, yeah, okay. But the thing is, they already put it out anyway, so it didn't really make much difference because it was already out. It wasn't an exclusive of that.
In the email, we actually said we can't verify whether it's...
Oh, yeah, that was it, Rodger. You'd love this, Rodger. You'd love this. The email, yeah. We can neither... deny, what was it? Confirm or deny that this was an actual hole-in-one. I was like,
it's
clearly not a hole-in-one.
Fake news.
Yeah. But what got me was when he does it, Like, there's a couple of guys there. One fella's got a cup of Costa in his hand, and he just turns to the camera and goes, "Did that go in?" And then they pan out and look back to the tea, and nobody at all celebrating around the tea. Absolutely nobody is celebrating around the tea. And it's the way, I'm not going to go into golf chats anyway, but the way he hits it, looks like it's heading out right and off the green, to be honest with you, not really close to the pin. But yeah, that didn't happen. Not to put him on too much of a downer there. But yeah, I mean, that Newcastle game you refer to there, I mean, I used to criticise him for just turning up and wanting so desperately to beat Newcastle. It's the reason why he had the odd cock up against them. You know, you think those times when he looks at the crowd and he's pulling faces at them and things. I like that now because he backs it up with how he performs and what he does. That Newcastle game's a good choice, though, isn't it? Even though, you know, we're safe, I expect us to go there and get absolutely destroyed. And I think Jordan Pickford's probably still up there now, isn't he, celebrating that and just having a laugh with his mates and hitting blag hole-in-ones.
Perfect weekend for him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Bring the tone down a little bit now, because we've got to at some point, haven't we? You know, even though it's Toffee Tuesday, it's still the Blue Monday crew, so we've got to do this. Most despairing moments of 24-25. A lot to choose from early season. Dave, will come to you first.
I've got two.
You can't have two. You can only have
no.
one.
I'm just gonna mention, like we have done. I'm gonna mention
honourable mention two, and then your choice.
Well, you know me, I could have picked every single one. Most despising moments, or despairing moments. The first one that I went for that is the runner-up was Southampton away, lost 1-0. Maybe Rodgers mentioned it, but maybe the context of that is why it's an absolute shitter, because they won. How many games did they win? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
I think we doubled 3 that, maybe at that point.
Yeah. But the one that's going for me that gets the gold medal is the 4-0 away defeat to Manchester United under Big Sean. And we went there, and I remember we went down just after 30 minutes and capitulated. But it wasn't that got me. Losing 4-0 away at Man United, given the troubles they've had, still not really a surprise given the position we were in. What got me was what he come out and said after the game, which was just most ridiculous, and we've had a few, the most ridiculous sack of shite, waste of breath that he came out with, saying, well, we were really in the game and we played really well for 30 minutes. They scored, and then, you know, it become more difficult. And it was one of the worst attempted sell of Angolan lads. We're actually all right. Oh, what a shame. We tried our best. We're playing against a really good side. There was absolutely nothing from that game that you could take any sort of positive from. Yeah, he tried his best to and failed miserably, and added, I would think, to many people's real anger towards him. Added to many people who, I don't know whether they just said it because they want an argument with people, but the people who said that he should stay. He's been unlucky. He's done a great job. He did a job for us. That's all I'd ever say about the man. But what he come out with and said after that game was ridiculous. And listen, we've had a list of managers who've come out with some shite over the years. That one's up there. That's in the Champions League of Everton gobshite managers who've come out with shite.
Rog, can you go any more shite than that?
Yeah, I think I can actually. Earlier in the season, and for some reason, I don't know why Bournemouth keep fucking cropping up. They annoy the hell out of me for many, many different reasons. But you know, 31st of August, you know, we've not had a particularly impressive start to the campaign. So what we needed was the lovely Cherries to rock up at Goodison, and we took a 2-0 lead, and we're 2-0 up in the 86th minute. The 86th minute, we're 2-0 up, and we lost the fucking game 3-2. They scored 87, 90 plus 2, 90 plus 6, and they could have had another 3. They had something like 7 shots on target in extra time. It was just the collapse was just so, despair. If you cannot at least get a point when you're 2-0 up with 3 or 4 minutes to go, my God, how bad must you be, and how low must confidence be, and how fickle must that group of players have been under that stupid imposter of a leader. And that was the end for me. Well, I think it was way past the end, but Yeah, I mean, you shipped 3-2. I mean, Pickford had a great game. He made a couple of superb saves in extra time, thinking, at least I've got us a point. And they still went on and won it. Yeah, that was desperate. I mean, we nearly did it against Tottenham, as we highlighted, but we did manage to get over the line there.
Yeah.
And Moyes was in charge. But yeah, losing 3-2 at home when you're 2-0 up with about 3 or 4 minutes to go, not having that.
You're talking about away performances there. Can you imagine you're a Bournemouth fan on that day?
Oh, no, I don't want to.
Half of them would be down halfway down the country by the time that happens. When they get to the 86th minute and playing chat, because we were great that game as well. We were brilliant.
That first 85 minutes, we were incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely wiped the floor with them.
What gets me with it is we actually looked worse that day than we did when that graphic goes around quite a lot, where we were winning 1-0 against Newcastle in the 96th minute and lost 2-0. 2-0 was it?
2-0, yeah.
And drew 2-2 was it? And it was Cher scored twice, didn't he?
No, it was Lejeune, wasn't it?
Lejeune, yeah. That was. I've never seen anything like that, but Rodger's absolutely right there. Bournemouth just turned up for 5 minutes and won 3-2.
I know. I do
they
think
just 3 times this season, didn't they? And they get to keep us, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our future manager there, though, when Moyes leaves, I hope.
Spurs are sniffing around him.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not going to go to Everton, is he? But he's a talented lad.
Yeah,
he's done a good job, but Toffees didn't finish that far behind in the end, I don't think.
And he's losing all his defence now. He's lost Hyson, and Kirkes is going to rock up, and poor old big AR-26 is going to be thrown in the bin across the park. So Kirkes has taken his job.
Yeah, I think that I think that was the most despair I felt at the game, to be honest, Rodger. I think I'm there with that one, because it was just the inevitability of them scoring that third. Once that second went in, and I think we were walking out at this point thinking, "Fuck this! This is not going to get any better." And we scored, I think, just as we got downstairs.
You must have left it on record early. You must have left it on record early time there to be celebrating that.
No, we left it when that second went in. We got off then because we thought this is getting no better. We're never getting back into this. It'll only get worse. Sure enough, it did. I think, though, I had Man United 4-0 down as well, just because
it was Man United.
Just because he's shit. Man United is shit. Everyone beat Man United last season except us, I think. So, yeah, it's one of those two for me. I'm not sure, but we'll move on. We'll pick it up before we finish. Best moments. Come on, here we go. Let's go through this. Rog, what was your best moment of last season?
Well, sorry, it's back to Bournemouth again. There's no escaping them. There's no escaping them. It's the only game I went to this season with Blainster and young Glenn, and we lost magnificently. And I was delighted that we lost because they then went and binned off Dyche, didn't they, on the day of the FA Cup tie? That was the best moment. That was because we're playing this ridiculous. We're playing Peterborough on a Thursday, and everybody's very upset because of TV scheduling, and it's outrageous. And wasn't there some doubt? Was it a bit windy? Was the game going to be on as well, or something?
It was Rick Week, yeah. It was a Rick Week game.
Yeah, that's right. And then, like at 4:00 in the afternoon, they decided to bin off Sean. And old Bainesy had to come back from the under-18s coaching to take the first team. That was the best day of the year. 4th of January. Bloody magnificent. Yeah. Highlight. It's all thanks to Bournemouth beating us again.
I think I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past, but that Ron Atkinson documentary it's fantastic. You should go and watch it. But the fella who's their boss decided to resign 5 minutes before kickoff. When he's the Peterborough Scouse lad who's a Peterborough manager, and it reminded me so much of that, because you imagine Dyche taking training and someone just rocking up there and just going, "Yeah, Sean, we filled your car with petrol there, mate. And your stuff's there, your P45's there, and it's time to go. Bainesy, you're in charge." I do maintain that if that was anything but an FA Cup game, then he'd probably have still been our manager. And who knows, if he'd have gone and won that, you couldn't have probably sacked him. But yeah, I mean, if it was a Premier League game, you wouldn't have got sacked on the day.
Yeah, I don't want to think of that multiverse outcome where he's still manager. Go ahead then, Dave. What's yours, Rodger? I absolutely love the fact that you said there's no best young player and getting beat by Bournemouth was the best moment. Brilliant, love it.
Man, you've won our own awards there. Just absolute magic. Some things there. What are we on? Best moment. So
actually,
again,
I've got an even better best moment because I'd had too many beers. Because obviously a bit of bladder management when you get to my age. So I went down and got a couple of red wines at half time, and I got dogs abuse from some guys from Kirby for drinking red wine at an Everton game. It was terrible. Yeah.
Which game was that?
That was the Bournemouth away game. Yeah.
Come on,
of course they sell red wine. It's sophisticated, you see.
If there's a game you're going to drink red wine at, it's Bournemouth. They've got a champagne lounge at the ground. So if there's a game you're going to drink red wine at, it's Bournemouth away. Come on, lads.
Clearly.
How's you got room for that? How's the Vitality got room for that?
It's a porter cabin.
Oh, is it?
Champagne porter cabin in the sky.
Don't you remember, Dave, when we got down there? Bubbles, champagne lounge.
No.
Don't you remember?
We were running into the ground.
We were running into the ground, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a man of sophistication and taste that I noticed it. I don't know.
That's right. It's just that you noticed that Rodger was in there. So
good, Dave. Best moment.
One's a really emotional one.
You can only have one. Stop with
I know. Sorry, I'm just getting an honourable mention there. It's like the Oscars, when you put the list up, everyone claps, and then it's sort of like, that one deserved it. When I'm really absolutely gutted that I never got it. It was the celebration.
That's when the camera pans to Jack Harrison for not getting best young player.
Yeah, and you can see his hair waving, little ponytail waving in the background,
and his mum in the background having a go at Moyes for not picking him.
Bless him. It was celebration versus Liverpool was ridiculous, and the thing in my mind is someone grabbed the corner flag. You can see him waving it in the air, and then just went ballistic in the corner. And the great thing about that is it pissed them off something wicked because they still say it now. You won that game 2-2, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
But my one. Sentimental one, which we still have that moment to say till the season starts, Rodger, as much as we slate it, is the violinist end, which had me in absolute tears all over the place, and it was just incredible. I mean, it hasn't come out as a single, but that piece of music was incredible, and it was everything about it. The way it was just sort of everyone was in awe. We started singing ourselves while she's playing it. And then I think after maybe a few seconds, people just sort of stopped. And that moment was certainly for me, that moment was in my mind that this is it now. This is just, it was almost like it was quiet in and around her for a few seconds when she started. Everyone wanted to celebrate. Everybody wanted to sort of go along with the song, but I think there's so many people there were just in awe of how that was being played. It might well have been the thing to play at the very, very end of it. I know we had the trumpet at the end of it, didn't we? That also did Z Cars, but that was just incredible, just perfect. It made me want to go all in the violin, and then I realised how difficult it is to actually do so, even though it looks like it's really easy. And you just put your finger on a piece of string and use a stick. That's no insult. the way
tomorrow for Dave's top 10 violin tip.
Yeah, I just think it was so like it was so basic in terms of how she was set up. It was so like authentic. She just had like a blue t-shirt on. When she bowed at the end of it, and she had a massive smile on her face. I just think that was one of the highlights of that day, if there was one, because it was a sad day for us to leave Goodison. But yeah, that's my one.
My only thing with that is I wish they'd done it straight after kickoff instead of doing the procession with the players. I wish they'd done the music because everyone would have been in floods at that point. I think it was great. I mean,
but while the game was on,
you might as well, yeah. Nothing happened in the second half, so they might as well have done it then.
Yeah.
No,
she could have played right back actually when Seamus came. She could have come on.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. I think mine. I am going for the obvious. Again, for a very personal reason. It was the celebrations after Tarkovsky's winner. I missed this season's derby because it was down in Brighton. So it was the first derby that the kids have been to and actually loved, because we won 2-0, obviously, and it was just amazing. We just took them apart that night, really. And I wasn't there, so I was a little bit gutted that I'd missed that, because I'd missed out on sharing that with them. So this one, going into the 92nd minute, my dad's like angling to go away. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. My dad's sort of saying, "Come on, let's go," because 2-1, we're not getting back into this.
Still half time.
Yeah. It was better scored. That's it. Let's go. So he's like saying, "Come on, let's go." Everyone's sort of shuffling down. I'm like, "No, let's just wait, just hang on," because it was 2-1. It was just like something could happen. And then when the goal goes in, the kids at either side of me were on the steps on the park end at the back. My dad's down the stairs. He just turns and comes running up. And I think that the sight of him legging it up the stairs in celebration has just burned on our retinas, me and the kids, because we all just hugged after that, jumped all over each other. So it was just such a good moment. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It is about those moments.
Yeah. I've got one from back in the day, right? Just
go ahead then, Rodger.
One. Very similar. We're playing Southampton in a 6th round or 5th round FA Cup replay at Goodison, and it's been really rammed to get in. You pay on the gate and whatever. They were, very real squashed to get in before the midweek game, and it's gone to extra time. Shannon and Keegan are playing for Southampton, and Keegan's getting dogs abuse, which is great fun. We're in, I think it was called the Paddock then, what is now the family enclosure, sort of Gladys Street end of that, and we're stood up. There's steps, right? Before there were seats, there were steps down the side, and there was a guy next to me. And he had his 2 kids with, or he had 2 kids, whether they were both his or not. But they used to have milk crates, and you could stand. So he got these milk crates, and he had his 2 kids either side of him stood on a couple of milk crates so they could see, right? Eamon O'Keefe scores the winner at the park end in about the halfway through extra time. And the guy goes, "Yes," like this, and knocks both kids flying off the back, off the milk crates. And behind the paddock, it was a great moment, and that is what it's about, winners or late goals, and kids, and that drama. That's why we go to the game. It's brilliant.
Yeah. That was his next words were definitely "Don't tell your mother," weren't they? Just kids flying. Don't tell your mother.
Do you know? Just while we're off on a tangent with stuff like that, I remember you just think those random moments there where you think properly why you go to games. I actually put my teeth into some fella's bald head when I was there. We went 1-0 up when Rooney scored away at Man City, and I'm standing next to Paddy Boylan, and that the way they've got that 3rd tier on the away end now at the Etihad. I think it was that. Did have it rebuilt by then, and Rooney scored, and Rooney's laughing his head off, isn't he? And his tweet at the end of it was brilliant when he said, "Oh, I've seen some familiar faces," and you've got all these City fans absolutely ballistic at him in the background. I love anything like that. But yeah, there was this guy in front of me, and we scored, and I just I don't know, just something just overcomes you, and I just grabbed his head, and I think I went to kiss his head. And I just ended up my teeth or something like that into this bald guy. And I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He was lovely about it. He turned around and said, "That's all right, mate. That's okay." I think he must have been pissed and celebrating as well. Paddy Boylan will tell you that if you can remember it. That, I just when you just get random moments, you think, yeah, I probably wouldn't put my head into a bald fella. His scalp. I probably wouldn't do that in any other regard in my life. No, that's what it's all about.
You went full on Pepe Reina, Andy Johnson there. I love it. Right, let's finish this thing on some positivity then, definitely. So, what are we all looking forward to most for next season? Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, quite
only one thing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine because of what will come with it. And I never thought I'd say this in my lifetime. It's what the owners do at Everton is the thing I'm looking forward to most about next season. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a cop-out because it'll be before the season. It's probably more important. Well, obviously going to be more important than when we start the season. But everything we've seen, heard, looked at, maybe it's because Bramley Moore is sort of front and centre to all of this. But these guys seem the real deal. They seem to know what they're doing. They seem to have worked out what they want to do. Again, Rodger, we've spoken a lot about it, what they're doing behind the scenes, what they're doing in terms of boardroom stuff and how they're going to sort out recruitment. There's not really been anything, and Rodger, you're scathing as soon as you see anything that is rightly so for an issue in and around that. And I know I want to hear your rebuttal on this, but I think that these guys are going to be the real thing that Everton need to finally progress. And with that, Moyes has money to spend, and he's never really had that as the Everton manager, a real amount. So that's what
I'm not going to rebut you because they haven't done anything wrong yet. I mean, they
haven't done anything yet.
We have to judge them by what they actually do, and they are quiet as they've been at Roma. They don't tend to say a lot, but they are decisive and they will hire and fire. Hopefully, they don't have to do that. Hopefully, Moyes is, to us as Ranieri was to Roma, and they've got. Hopefully, there's some good people. I had a lovely chuckle this morning but reading another word salad from the late lamented, not by me, Kevin Thelwell, talking nonsense about what he's going to do at Rangers with Dan Purdy and the Chuckle brothers.
Has he got there?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, okay, getting the band back together.
Rangers. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And
is Stevie going back as well? Is he?
Maybe that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Well, he floated up on the Champions League.
I saw him at the Champions League,
like
chatting nonsense.
It's generally at that moment when you think, he's up here for the job. He sort of wants his face to be seen, and he's absolutely shite and didn't really. Just went there for money, didn't he? When he went over to Saudi, he's come back to try and put out some respect to people in and around.
The shortlist is Ancelotti's son, Davide, or Russell Martin with that fantastic season at Southampton. All of his 11 points or whatever he got.
So who was it that took over at Southampton, by the way?
Will Still?
Yeah. Will Still.
Oh, yeah.
Will Still.
Yeah.
We were talking about Will Still last night, weren't we, Les?
We were, Dave, but we won't go on to that. Rog, what are you most looking forward to next season?
Beating Bournemouth. For once. Beating them down here would be good. That would be great. What I'm looking forward to is scoring more goals than we have done this season and scoring exciting goals, because I think that, with players like Alcaraz and Ndai, we have talented, enigmatic, unpredictable players who Beto has a place in the squad, and we'll keep Beto. He's still, for me, he's not the starting guy. He can be an impact sub, and he can be a very useful squad member, and that's good. And the fact that he's improved under Moyes is credit to him and to the coaching staff. But I think if we can get a third player to come into that, what I'm envisioning as a front three, I know people will say Alcaraz is more of a midfielder. But I think Ndai and Alcaraz with another, it doesn't look like we're going to get Delap, but it doesn't look like we're going to get someone like Jonathan David, who's also a very good player, Lille. But I'm not sure who that player is, but I trust Moyes and his network of people to find a 25-30 million pound guy who can come into that team and make us a real attacking threat. Because you're right, if we can keep the defensive resources in place, then we've got a very, very good defence. And with Idrissa hopefully staying, we've got something in the centre of midfield. We still need a little bit more muscle and a little bit more there. But I'm looking forward to scoring more goals, and hopefully a lot of them against Bournemouth. That would be good, because we owe them. I owe them personally.
In Chicago, because they haven't got a friendly, haven't they?
Yeah, we play them in New Jersey. Bournemouth in New Jersey. West Ham play Chicago. Yeah,
they're the only win you get in there when it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
well done. The thing I like is there are actual things to look forward to, which is nice.
100% there are, and it's not just the stadium's lovely. I can't wait to get to the stadium. I just want to see us playing good football. I don't care where we play it. Let's just play it and let's score more than 44 goals, please.
Yeah. Funnily enough, mine is going to the new ground. So finishing 8th, because we are going to finish 8th next season. I say it every year, but next season's our year. I am really just looking forward to that first game at the new stadium. Hopefully, it will be a sun-drenched August or September afternoon.
Les, you could have just been honest and said it's because you're sitting next to me.
Well, it was coming on to that.
The rest of your life.
You'll never leave. You'll never escape.
You got me forever now, mate.
Just don't
And
be
you won't be
sinking
allowed to leave
into
early.
my head,
You won't be
please.
allowed to leave early. Dave won't
Yeah,
let you leave
exactly.
early.
I'm going to handcuff you to me for other reasons, but I'm going to handcuff you to your seat.
Just don't go biting his head when they score.
That's it. Yeah, I will not be going anywhere near you when we score. No, but I am just really looking forward to seeing what that ground's like at a proper match now. Seeing it twice for the test events, which has been a bit weird. It was weirdly quiet against Bolton. It was freezing cold for the under 18s. So I really want to see what it's going to be like on that opening match day when those sirens go or when Z Cars comes on, whatever they do. Just really looking forward to that and starting a new chapter, hopefully.
Yeah. Tony Bellew coming out and announcing the teams.
Christ. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Yeah, but no, that's been our goodies awards. Don't know why I called it that, but there we are. Yeah, so let us know your thoughts in the comments, whether you listen on the podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what your best goals are, your best player, best young player, worst moments, best moments. Just let us know. It's all good conversation. We'll be back next week with Blue Monday. Not sure what we're going to talk about. Hopefully some transfer news, perhaps. I think Matt and Rob have got a transfer show coming up. We'll have the weekly, sub-weekly, mailbag, all the usual stuff this week. But as ever, thanks to Rodger, thanks to Dave, thanks to everyone for watching and listening. That's been Toffee Tuesday. Up to Toffees.